Hey, how you doing? My name's Fallout, sub to my channel, follow me on Twitch, check out my Patreon, blah, blah, blah. I'm skipping the usual intro because today's TWAB from Bungie has a ton of info regarding the upcoming Season 18 weapon changes, and we gotta talk about it now, like right now. If at any point you want to read along at your own pace, I will link the TWAB down in the video description. I'll try to throw in an incredibly short TLDR at the end of the video if you're impatient, but here we go. Scout rifles are getting a buff in PvE only. Bungie's giving them extra damage against red bar enemies in PvE by 10%. Not too shabby. High impact auto rifles, aka the 360 RPM archetype, are getting an ease of use buff. All non-sunset high impact auto rifles are getting a base stability bump of 6 to 12. According to Bungie, that may seem like a tiny change, but will noticeably change the feel of the weapon overall. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm always sitting on potentially good weapon picks in my crowded vault in case of a buff. I've got a Herod C that I'm going to whip out just for this occasion. I suggest combing through your vault for whatever hot 360 RPM auto rifles you may have laying around. Lightweight bows are getting some love in the following ways: reduced base draw time by 5% and a longer window on your perfect draw, aka how long you can hold a fully drawn bow before you lose accuracy and damage. So far, nothing too wild. Hand cannons, and before you begin to panic, relax, no nerf. The Dire Promise apparently had its zoom stat accidentally brought down to 13 and it's being brought back up to 14. I'm actually really hyped about that. If you've ever heard me talk about SMGs, y'all know that having even one extra point of zoom can make a mediocre weapon feel great. I've got a couple really fire Dire Promises laying around in my vault that I'm 100% going to break out after getting that extra one tick of zoom. In particular, I got one with Elemental Capacitor, which I'm going to slap on my Voidy Titan for extra stability. Okay, next one is big. Bungie's making it so that glaive melee attacks will now activate exotic armor perks on the Feedback Fence, the Karnstein, and the Necrotic Grip. Feedback and Karnstein are the ones that are tempting me the most here right now. Feedback would heavily punish anyone who tried to fight back by punching you in a close range fight in PvP. Necrotic Grip sounds like a good old-fashioned fun time in PvE, but I will be honest, I'm a little worried about the combination of a glaive and Karnstein together in PvP. On a melee kill, you would immediately get a large chunk of health back and then continue to regenerate. Now, the ability to regen health in PvP has always been a repeated community pain point. The original power of Phoenix Dive being tied to in-game frame count, the original power of Wormhusk, the current power of Classy Restoration. Being able to regen health in PvP is a slippery slope, and glaives are kind of a hot topic right now. Go ahead and keep your eyes peeled, but this may become a big thing in Season 18. By the way, if you haven't already, watch my video from the other day on what can break a glaive block to be better prepared on how to shut down Karnstein abusers next season. Link down below. Okay, moving on. Breach grenade launchers are getting concussion grenades removed because they pretty much are a worse version of blinding. Heavy grenade launchers are getting an increased damage buff against majors and above by 10%. That's actually kind of awesome. I would highly recommend checking your vault for any potential PvE bangers. I've got a few laying around and I can't wait to bring them into PvE endgame content next season. Moving on, Dares of Eternity weapons are getting an origin trait. No word yet on what that'll actually be though. Also, apparently there was an issue involving playlist weapons not randomizing individual perk columns correctly based on the number of resets overall. On the subject of weapon perks and origin traits, Gambit and Iron Banner origin traits are getting reworked. The updated Gambit origin trait is being redesigned to give a sprint speed increase on a multi-kill. Not gonna lie, that is pretty goddamned awesome. I know that grinding out a borrowed time SMG might be a huge pain in the gooch, but with that updated origin trait, might be worth it. The updated Iron Banner origin trait will now activate on any kill when your health is low. That's low-key kind of incredible. Remember that the origin trait briefly takes you off the enemy team's radar for a period of time. That's going to be a monster in PvP on the right weapons. If they ever re-release the Multi-Mach SMG into the Iron Banner loot pool, or any loot pool, I would grind literally forever to get an updated god roll with that new origin trait. Ambitious Assassin is improving the magazine overflow from 10 to 20% per kill on primary weapons only, but the overflow cap is also being raised from 50 to 150%. Damn. Wellspring is getting its internal cooldown mechanic outright removed. I already thought that Wellspring was a really good perk, but this is going to raise its viability noticeably across the board, especially in PvE. Perpetual Motion's audio/visual feedback is being removed due to being annoying? Lol? I don't know. I was never really that bothered by it, but whatever. Lead from Gold will now give the correct amount of ammo to each special weapon if you happen to be running double special. Vased Stinger, or Viced Stinger, however the you pronounce it, is getting a bug patched on how it's currently interacting with linear fusion rifles. Zen Moment, a long memed on weapon perk with an inaccurate perk description, is finally getting the in-game text updated to actually correctly describe what the perk does. If you didn't know, Zen Moment claims to give you better stability, but what it actually does is reduce camera shake when firing your weapon. Kinda helps maybe if you're on controller, but mouse and keyboard players pretty much have no use for it at all. Text on particle repeater is getting updated as well. I'm imagining it'll actually say gives more stability instead of whatever it says right now. Moving on to exotics. A handful of weapons are getting anti-champion functionality built into them. I know a lot of people out there are kind of tired of dealing with champions overall and want them to be maybe phased out a wee bit, myself included, but in the meantime at least we'll have more ways of dealing with them. Le Monarch is getting intrinsic overload, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me. Monarch has always been a favorite anti-overload champ weapon of mine, so yay that I don't have to cross my fingers, hoping that Overload Bow will show up in the artifact mod pool that season. Thunderlord is getting intrinsic overload. Malfeasance is getting intrinsic unstoppable to explosions. On top of that, it's getting a 25 boost to the AE stat to match the bonus on other precision hand cannons. Overall, that's kind of a big glow up for Malf in PvE and PvP. Wish Ender is getting intrinsic anti-barrier. The number of hits on most targets is getting bumped up from 2 to 3, except in PvP where it will remain at 2. More damage on champions, majors, and mini bosses by 10%. Really eager to see how badly this will shred champions next season, because overall it's looking pretty strong on paper. The draw time on Wish Ender is also getting lowered by a little smidge. Tiku's Divination is getting a free buff thanks to the changes happening to lightweight bows mentioned earlier. The draw time is also going down from 612 to 580. Not bad. Legend of Acreus, a gun I borderline forgot was a thing, is getting intrinsic trench barrel. That might end up being fairly wild. Keep your eyes peeled on that for upcoming PvE content. A few weapons that are tied to exotic weapons are also getting buffs. Callus Mini Tool is getting improved AE from 23 to 28 to match Mida Mini Tool. Mida Mini Tool is getting better zoom from 13 to 14 to match Callus Mini Tool. Quick side note there, again, anytime SMGs get a zoom buff, I'm all ears. Even though it'll be 2 zoom behind Shayura, I'm still looking forward to 14 zoom Mini Tool. The king of all sidearms, aka Drang, is getting +2 AE to match regular Drang. Don't spend it all in one place, kid. Sweet Business is getting an AE improvement from 27 to 32. Yay for all 12 of you who used the gun unironically. Fighting Lion's damage buff, which was rolled back as part of a fix for a larger bug, is being reintroduced and increased from 5 to 8% overall, and a larger grace time for the instant reload effect of Thin the Herd from 5 to 6 seconds. How do I put this delicately? Fighting Lion has always been kind of an annoyance in PvP, in the hands of people who know how to use it, that is. Keep an eye on that. Hopefully Fighting Lion doesn't start to run too wild in Season 18 PvP. Here's one that a ton of us have been waiting for. Get the popcorn ready. Lord of Wolves, which Bungie acknowledges has been a thorn in the side of many a player, is getting reworked. Starting ammo is being decreased from 15 to 10 in PvP. Quick note on that. Thank God. It's ridic that while other shotties spawn in with the ability to fire off 2 shots, Lord of Wolves, for whatever reason, gets 3. It's already a beast of a weapon. Why's it gotta get more ammo? The burst size, aka how many bullets come out of the gun each time you pull the trigger, is being brought down from 10 to 5 when Release the Wolves is active. The burst delay will be reduced by 60% when Release the Wolves is active. And the weapon's base damage is being brought down by 20%. It will now deal 35 per shot to the body in PvP and 44 with Release the Wolves active. Overall, good changes. I do still worry that it'll be too easy to lock up one-tap body shot kills in PvP. After all, with Release the Wolves active, you still get a free body shot kill with all 5 bullets. I think the only downside is that with Release the Wolves turned on, you won't get as much stability on your weapon, but I don't know if that's going to make a ton of difference to M&K players who are already really dialed in hardcore on using the weapon. I am excited about the less ammo overall though. It means you'll actually have to pick up an extra green brick before earning a free triple kill in trials. Upside, I guess, if you're a PvE player, more damage for you. Moving on, Dead Man's Tale, which apparently was causing issues with the Cranial Spike perk. In Season 18, Cranial Spike no longer buffs damage versus players. Instead, it grants increased reload, aim assist, and range per stack. It'll still give extra damage in PvE though. Upon reaching max stacks, the Catalyst will now increase hipfire RPM by 50, but will deal reduced damage per bullet. This is definitely going to hurt the PvP viability of DMT, I think. While I like the idea idea of better reload, better aim assist, and better range. The lack of extra damage, we'll see how it plays out. But I guess DMT was really strong on paper. Good DMT users will probably still pop off in PvP with the gun if they haven't already swapped over to Jade Free Headshot City Rabbit. Collective Obligation, a gun I 100% did not forget actually existed, is getting a rework too. The Void Leech timer is getting bumped up to 15 seconds in PvE and will remain unchanged in PvP. The cooldown has been removed and they're adding a 20% damage buff bonus on PvE combatants only when Void Leech is active. It'll take less hits to fully charge Void Leech, and kills on debuffed targets immediately charge Void Leech. Void Leech will also instantly be charged when your character is affected by a Void debuff, although they hilariously mentioned that it won't work if you debuff yourself, which no joke was my first thought after reading the weapon change. Finally, they are fixing a bug where Umbral Sustenance was activating with non-void overshields. Overall, big changes to the obligation. I haven't used it in forever because I just found it to be wildly mediocre. Hopefully though, this action makes the weapon more viable in PvE. Moving on to damage reduction changes. We've got more changes here that a lot of the community has been really begging for. They are tuning damage resist across the board. DR values are being dropped as follows. Tier 1 is going from 10 to 2.5%. Tier 2 is going from 15 to 5%. Tier 3 is going from 20 to 7.5%, and tier 4 is going from 25 to 10%. Side note, me. I think Omni will still be good in PvP, considering you're still getting a free incoming DR buff, not to mention being able to both camo you and your entire team, and getting pretty much all of your smoke bomb energy back immediately. But whatever, I'll take what I can get. Wrapping things up, Bungie mentions that they're looking at addressing more topics in the future, either mid-season 18 or in season 19. The top of their list is shotgun spread randomness, which, by the way, holy sh**, that's only something I've been asking for 7 years. Reducing bow swapping effectiveness. Sorry, buddy. Raising trace rifle ease of use. That one might be interesting. Introducing the intrinsic full auto setting, which we've been waiting for a while now. Reducing the ability of snipers to shoot through flinch in PvP. Can I get an amen in the comment section on that one, please? Pulse rifles with out of band effectiveness. High impact scout rifle ease of use. Jade Rabbit. Precision fusion rifle ease of use. Allowing glaive interactions with exotic armors that buff melees, fixing glaive hit detection. Quick side note, when that gets fixed, expect glaive viability to go way up immediately. Legit, one of the only things holding them back right now from being insane. The reworking of some enhanced perks, and folding spec mods into the base perks. Okay, attempted TLDR on my part, limiting it only to the things I care about the most. Interesting weapon changes for Season 18, with potentially more good stuff on the way. We have a nerf to both Omnioculus and Lord of Wolves, two things the community has probably been complaining about the most for the last season or two, and the nerfs I think are good. I don't know if they're going to be enough to completely curb the usage of both in PvP. I feel like even with the lower DR, Omnioculus is still really free in PvP. Time will tell. Oh yeah, and a couple great PvE weapon buffs. I'm gonna go through my vault and flag a few weapons that I think may become damage bangers in Season 18. Go down to the comment section right now and tell me your thoughts on the info in the TWAB. What changes are you most hyped for, and what changes are already annoying you? While you're down there, please click the big ol' subscribe button, and if you're new to the channel, check out my other content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.